What's up, guys? This is Christian Rodriguez, founder and director of False 8 Training Academy. On today's segment, I'll be talking about parents. You really have more influence and more control than you could ever imagine. I wanted to bring forth, one of the reasons why I created this YouTube channel is so that we could pump out more resources so that players can grow and so that also parents can receive the education and the assistance. It's very easy. It seems like in the youth soccer world, parents and coaches are against each other. And my hope is that we could bridge the gap. Ultimately, as coaches, right, if it's done the proper way, we are on the same mission, and that's to see your child succeed. Well, if you're in a good environment, that's the goal, right? But ultimately at False 8, our goal, right, as a former pro, is to create an environment that I wish I would have had and to create the resources, the training, and the equipping that I wish I would have had that I feel could have helped me have a longer and more successful pro career. And so our mission and goal at False 8 is to also teach from our mistakes, but not only from our mistakes, but from some of the best coaches and best training academies that we've been at. In my playing career, I learned a lot being in Europe. I learned a lot being in the room with some of the best. I'll be honest. I am so fortunate when I hear these great, nice comments about False 8. I'm super thankful, but again, I owe a lot to the coaches that I was able to be around in my youth development. Again, I've been with players and coaches that have been coached by Johan Cruyff, Marcelo Bielsa. I've been very fortunate. And so with all the info that I've received, how could I not give back? One of the things that I feel parents need to know is you have the power and you play a very pivotal role. You are the director of coaching of your child's development. You must know what type of training, where to send your child, what type of nutrition plan, what club do they play at, what objectives do you have for them, and what objectives align with the child. Because again, you could have a goal and a roadmap, but does the child even want to take soccer that far? So these are all things, right? As a director of coaching, right, in a travel program, the role of a director of coaching is to establish a curriculum, make sure all players are being challenged, and making sure that you can create a good environment for all levels within the travel and sometimes the rec program, right? So you must identify, I think one of the key components of being a good director of coaching of your child's career is you have to identify how far they want to take the game. Now, this can be very hard because you ask a kid if they want to be a pro, they all say yes. Just like if you ask them for pizza, they all say yes. It sounds great, but you've got to find a way to get to the bottom of, do they really want to go pro? Do they really want to play in college? Are they doing this for fun? These are some very important questions to ask. And obviously, if you ask them directly, the answer could vary. But how can I break the question down? How can I make a proper analysis of whether my child really wants to take the game to the next level, or if they're just simply doing it for fun, or if this is mom and dad's dream and yeah, it's fun and I like the traveling and I like the friends. It is your job to identify as the DOC of your child's individual career how far they want to take the game. I think something else that's super important is identifying, now once you've identified where they want to be or how far they want to take the game, what type of player will you help your child develop into? I personally believe what Arsene Wenger said, which is the foundation, and you build a soccer player like you build a house. The foundation needs to be a technical base. I have seen the mistake where parents mean well, but they don't understand the phases of youth development. Now, something that's very important as a side note is if you want to be a good DOC, director of coaching to your child's youth development, you have to do your best to be educated and to study the sweet science. You must become a lover of the sweet science. I'm being biased, but I think the sweet science of developing a youth soccer player into a college or pro player is really fun. And I think you can find a lot of joy and it can become like a hobby because there is so much detail and sweet science to the formation of elite youth players. So you have to make sure that you're educated so that you can guide your child in the right way. There are so many resources online. And again, not just because someone has a big platform, not just because someone played pro, not just because whatever, right? Does it XYZ doesn't mean that they're a trusted source. You have to always have like an internal declaration of independence or an internal soccer constitution. And for me, my biggest advice would be your internal soccer constitution should be technique and being skilled, technical, and super proficient in the understanding of the game should always be first. Let everything you do, let that be the foundation, right? Let that be the foundation of the development course that you allow your child to go on. Now, as a DOC of your child, now you have to pick the trainers, the programs, the club, the curriculum, right? To where what you want your child to become. I think it's very important to study those that have come before you. It's very important to talk to players that have to parents, and not only parents but to coaches that have walked the journey, right? That have been on the journey that you want, right? Again, always look at where that person played, what was their youth development like, because again, you can play pro, but again, what do you determine someone that is a liable source to take you in the direction is someone that has been around great youth developers, not just played pro. It's people that have been around some of the greatest schools of youth development. That is very important, and they're out there. There are players that have received a rich education in the sweet science of youth development. You can be a talented player and go pro, but there's a different breed of people that you should surround in your network, which are people that have been in great formative schools of development. Look out for those that have been amongst some of the best youth developers, that have played at some of the best youth academies. I always look out for those. There are so many great youth coaches around the country or wherever you're at that have played at high levels, but then there's those that have been under such great youth academies that have like the knowledge of what it takes to have a proper formation. So as the DOC of your child's individual journey, it is very important that you pick the right trainers, the right coaches. And then I think one of the biggest necessities that every youth player needs is make sure that I'm hitting the right phase. You want to become very educated in the formation of what phase of development is my child in. Don't skip phases. Guys, I've made that mistake. My dad made that mistake, lovingly made that mistake. He thought because I was so good that I could skip phases of development. But again, you cannot skip phases of development. Again, players and parents that I work with, they are in phases of development of the technical ball discovery, introduction to basic tactical principles. That is your phase of development, right? And so it is very important that you don't skip phases. I know it's very tempting, but you've got to master. A lot of us think because we can execute technical moves, because we can do certain things, that we have graduated from that phase. But no, it is important that you continue to progress technically. And a big mistake that I see is that once players become so technically proficient, then they're U15, U17, and they stop doing the technical work and they overload the performance and strength and conditioning, which does play a vital role from U15 phase to the U19 phase. But we must always make sure we stick to our Declaration of Independence, our constitution of youth development, which is technical development. Again, the technical work of a 9, 10, 11-year-old is going to be different than a technical work of a U15 and through U19 player. Why? Because there's now more specific, more complex technical requirements and necessities. That doesn't mean that there are similar principles. Yes, absolutely. There is a form of ball mastery. There is a form of touch formation. But now the technical development becomes a little bit more complex and it becomes a little bit more intertwined with tactical, technical principles. So again, it is very important as a director of coaching of your child's individual development, you make sure that you have a plan for your child, that you have a thought behind how far you want them to go and how are you going to assist them to get there. Through this channel, we're going to give so many tips, so many pointers so that you can feel well equipped to be on that journey with your child. Because let's be honest, there is a sweet science to development. And a lot of us didn't play the game, or some of us played the game, but it was just pure talent. There wasn't a youth education for some, or maybe all, that are listening, that is like modernized into what the game, what the youth development climate is like. And again, as parents, I understand that your goal as a parent is to help your child, and you want to do everything possible to help their dream come true. And so, again, the reason why we created this channel was to help. And so we will be dropping more content about making sure to help parents, and also we'll be helping players with having the right mindset. But again, one of the biggest things is to have you really have to get to the bottom of where and what your child wants to do. Then you have to form a constitution that you don't go against, that no matter what, you stick to the principles and the values of formation. No matter what club you play for, no matter how far you go in this game, you have to have an individual plan of development. Thank you, guys. We're going to hone in on a lot of these topics. This was episode 1, our intro episode, and we can't wait to make more content. Please like, share, and subscribe so that you can get more updates on when we have more of these videos. Have a great one.